What is it?
There's a 3. Welcome to round 1 fight. Ty's losing shit over here because we forgot to start the recording as he started the timer.
I'm tired. I forgot to hit the record button, so this is our third time recording this.
And I'm Harlan, your gracious, lovely host.
I'm Michael, the one who rolled the die.
And then I'm Mike, you bastard.
This is our third time recording because we thought it'd be a good idea to do an episode where we had a bit too much to drink.
Yeah,
it didn't turn out well. So at some point we might release that as a bonus. But
tell us if you want that bonus episode. It's not going to be pretty, just like your mom when she stumbles in from drinking that one night. It's going to be just as unpretty.
Experience.
Maybe.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about fighting games, and we're going to split this into two episodes. So part 1 here.
Yeah, I listened to that whole drunk episode, by the way. We could have done it way better. And yeah, 2 episodes is a little better because we didn't even cover as much as we wanted to with the drunk one.
We also could have done it way worse.
That is also true.
Yeah, we could have just not done it.
That's also true, but we're doing it now. So
which probably would have been the better part.
No,
that's fine.
People love us.
So we're doing fighting games, and episode 1 here, I'm going to go over a real quick brief history.
No, part 1, episode...
Part 1.
7?
6, 7, 7.
7 sounds accurate.
Yeah, last one is 6.
Don't quote me on it.
Let's just put it as episode 8.
No.
Skip 7.
Part 1 of the fighting games, I'm going to go over a brief history. I'm going to keep it small, and it's just basically to give everyone that doesn't know fighting games a bit of context when we talk about certain games, about what date, about when they came out.
So you aren't thinking shit like Sifu is a fighting game.
Yes.
When we're talking about this.
It's not a fighting game. It's pretty good, though. And then after that, we're going to talk about the big fighting games, the ones that most people are going to recognize. So for our brief history, fighting games really began in 1987. I don't think that picked up nice.
Good. That's the point. I just burped.
Fighting games began in 1987 with Street Fighter 1. And that was when fighting games really started up. They didn't become popular until the 90s with 91 Street Fighter 2 release, along with a few other titles, the first Fatal Fury game. And there's a few more in 91. And the 90s would be considered the golden years of fighting games, where throughout them we would get just every good, not every good, but a lot of good fighting games, and they would be at their prime. And that was all really due to just arcades, because fighting games thrived in the arcades. And then it all kind of died out in the early 2000s with the death of arcades, essentially, and that's when fighting games stopped.
Arcades went into a coma. They wouldn't gain appreciation again for a long while.
That was also the point when a lot of video game companies had to adapt their franchises, and several that couldn't kind of went under.
Yeah. So, some were successful in it. Others very much not so.
Some did figure out ways to do better on the home market when a lot of companies didn't. And several just went out.
I'll say, back when censorship wasn't an issue, I remember fondly playing, I think it was Street Fighter 2 or 3 in a daycare. And always getting someone crying about that I beat them with Blanca, and then eventually it was 2?
Yeah, Street Fighter 3 didn't have Blanca.
So I wasn't allowed to play Blanca according to the teachers, and then I learned how to do Dalzim, because he's even worse and more unfair. At least in that one, at least how I used them. Yeah, those were fond memories. I won a couple lunch money and got the game banned from our preschool.
Nice. Street Fighter 3 is the weirdo fighter of Street Fighter because the entire roster is almost entirely different.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The only returning characters would be Ryu and Ken, and then in later versions they added Chun-Li. Everyone else was new. And a lot of them are really weird. No, Cody was from Alpha.
Oh, okay.
The Final Fight characters got into Street Fighter Alpha.
Okie doke.
So yeah, but fighting games dropped off in the early 2000s, and that's kind of when fighting games were considered dead, and a lot of companies either went dormant for fighting games or tried to adapt them into new things, and
Failed.
most of them didn't work. A lot of
Yeah.
the newer attempts were trying to go 3D and trying to be like Tekken or Virtua Fighter.
I'm sorry, viewers, but this calendar hasn't been christened. We have a yoga calendar
I have a Yoga
that needs
Dogs
to be put to
calendar.
February.
I have a Yoga Dogs calendar I get yearly.
It's an event.
So, yeah, a lot of games like
Let's
Mortal
kill
Kombat and Samurai Showdown tried to go into 3D and it just didn't work for them. And some people will still defend some of the Mortal Kombat 3D era games. No one's defending the Samurai Showdown 3D games.
Oh, fuck no.
No.
I think Samurai Showdown Sen, I believe is what they're called.
Mortal Kombat 3D, they're fine. There's a classic feel to them. I would honestly play any of the new ones, with maybe even 11 versus a 3D
Well,
one.
like, this is the point when arcades were still dying. So I'm talking, like, the, like, Virtua Fighter style, where you could dodge into the foreground or
Yeah.
background and the camera would shift.
That's a little different.
The
yeah.
PS2 era, yeah, those ones.
Didn't they have God, what was it? Didn't they have Arena, Mortal Kombat Arena on a arcade cabinet at some point, or they tried to?
I don't believe,
think
but
so.
they might have.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember.
That might have been something that
This is the one.
That might have been something that attempted.
He's
and
talking
then
about the one game that released Meat. I think that's his name.
not a
no,
Arena.
it was the first game
Oh, no.
with Bo Rai Cho.
I would say there is no.
You're right.
I'm pretty confident there's no Mortal Kombat Arena. I don't believe that's
There
a game.
is, because I remember playing it for at least Xbox One. I don't know if it was called Arena per se, maybe
No.
Apocalypse or Armageddon. Something
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
what I'm saying. It's likely one of those two because there's no actual Mortal
Excuse
Kombat
me.
titled Arena. But these are essentially arena. These are almost kind of arena fighters, not quite.
Yeah. I just remember you were able to do specials into the foreground.
I will tell you where Bo Rai Cho came from. Yeah, that was the PS2 era that did that, and that's when Bo Rai Cho would have been introduced.
Yeah.
I'll tell you which game
But
he
she
was
was
introduced
way
in.
better then, because his
It-
fart and puke attacks
it-
weren't nearly as good.
I
in the
don't
second
believe it was
game.
Armageddon, because Armageddon is he was released in Deadly Alliance.
Oh, he was?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's one of the arena ones.
okay. Then it was my first
yeah.
experience in Armageddon
Dead-
that I experienced Bo Rai Cho.
Yeah, Deadly Alliance was the first of the PS2 era. Deadly Alliance followed by Deception, and then Armageddon.
All right.
Armageddon is the one where they basically did the Smash Bros of its time, where they're like, we're gonna put every single Mortal Kombat character that has ever been made into this game.
Yeah, they mean roster-wise, not...
Yeah, roster. I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
roster's the only thing where it's Smash-oriented, because otherwise that
The rest of it is not Smash like.
I don't know whatever you call that.
They did that-
stage style.
Yeah, they did the-
four-person fighter.
They did the Everyone Is Here, and they only introduced 2 new characters, and neither of them were popular.
What are you talking about? Oh, that's right. Bo Rai Cho wasn't new to that. But I
No,
like
they
Bo Rai
they
Cho.
introduced Taven and Dagon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no one really cares for them.
It's kind of like the new Mortal Kombat movie where they released that new guy and then nobody cared.
What new guy?
62. Oh, the Cole from the Mortal Kombat movie.
Oh, him.
62 characters, in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, and then on the Wii
Yeah.
version, 63.
You mentioned, and he was the main character. I completely forgot about him.
Everyone does.
Everyone
no one likes
does.
him. So back to our brief
I'm
history.
still trying to figure out if I liked Kano in that movie, to be honest.
No.
To that Johnny
Movie was
Cage.
bad.
So yeah, fighting games dropped off when arcades dropped off, and they didn't really see a resurgence, or we call it the fighting game renaissance, in 2008. Specifically because in 2008, Street Fighter 4 released, and it was the entire renaissance of the fighting games, and it came specifically because it had online play. And online play was huge for fighting games.
Sorry, the text is so dark on this fucking G Fuel thing.
Just to give some context, we drink a lot of G Fuel. And I'm now watching the other two point at different G Fuel containers we
Yeah,
have on the
because
table.
I'm a little behind in some of the new flavors. I'm looking at Liquid Lullaby, the Dead by Daylight one. Holy shit! Why the fuck did they put dark shit red brown
It's bad coloring.
on black?
Yeah, it's really bad coloring. It's hard to read.
It's
It's
almost
Dead by Daylight.
That
It's
doesn't make
almost
it.
worse
That doesn't make it.
than bright cotton candy pink
Oh, dude.
on white.
When the Killer Clouds from Outer Space game comes out, they should
Oh, I
do
can't
a
wait
Killer
for
Clouds
that.
Outer Space.
Yes.
Yeah, they should do a cotton candy one.
Yes.
I know they already
would
have a
buy
cotton
one.
candy one.
Spaceberry though. You need to go
There
like
it is,
weird
that's it.
with
Yes.
Oh, they'd give it a weird name.
I
but
would
mean,
love
like,
it. I would buy the shit out of that one.
Me
So-
too.
It's my favorite bad horror movie.
So,
It's a really good one.
so we'll talk about horror movies another time. So, fighting games got their renaissance in 2008 with Street Fighter 4.
When we get to pre-October.
Yeah, and then because of Street Fighter 4, a ton of fighting games decided now's our time. We're gonna make big, huge strides. So that's when Guilty Gear started back up. That's when Blaze Blue started. Yes, Blaze Blue started in 2008 or 9, I believe. That's how late Blaze Blue was.
That sounds about right.
SNK would return with King of Fighters 13 after failing miserably with King of Fighters 12
Oh yeah.
and having not the best time on consoles.
Yeah, that was rough. Was it a frame rate issue?
12, there was a bit of a frame rate issue. The online sucked. It had 20 characters at the base roster, I believe, which was less than the first game in the franchise that had 24.
Yeah.
And
Which one are we talking about?
King of Fighters.
Players 12?
Uh,
Did we also
basically-
have a connection issue between everything?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the other issue, it wasn't finished, so it was the Dream Match version. But it's basically just a tech demo for King of Fighters 13 because there is
Was that PS2 era or was that PS3 era?
that was the first one, PS3.
Oh, okay.
Because that was King
Yeah,
of Fighters 12.
that's when they first started introducing official Wi-Fi oriented consoles,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the first one that came built in with Wi-Fi instead of having to get an adapter.
Yeah, that was still a really rocky process in the beginning.
Well, there was so many things wrong with King of Fighters 12 specifically because they were it went like this. They were trying to put a date out for the King of Fighters, I think 25th anniversary, and they're like, we're not going to make it in time. The next game won't be ready. Like, we need something. So they decided to make 12 the dream match and push the end of that current saga, the Ash saga, off to 13. Whereas then
So they did a Bleach with the Princess arc or whatever.
yeah, so essentially what happened is it had not the full roster of 13. It also didn't even this is the first one to not have teams because they didn't implement every team in. So they're like
You're right.
Iori was there, but the rest of his team was gone because they weren't made yet.
Yeah, that one
So,
I did not enjoy nearly as
It,
much.
it failed miserably for them. Another issue, there is local versus, online versus, training mode, and arcade mode. And arcade mode is a combination of arcade mode and time attack.
Oh.
And there's no story endings for any team or character.
Yeah, that's a straight up. We have the stuff. We have the system. We just don't want to flesh out extra bits.
No, they didn't have this. They didn't have everything they wanted yet.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I mean. It's like they have
They had something.
the program to run it.
Yeah.
They have the assets to put into the program. They just didn't want to flesh out extra bits like cutscene shit or anything else.
Well, they didn't have time.
Yeah.
They were so.
I mean,
they
this
were
was
so
a rushed
crunched.
release.
Yeah.
Well, this is
that's what I mean.
yeah.
They didn't have time. They didn't want to because they didn't have time to want to.
Yeah, so then a few years later they would release 13, and that would go on to be one of their highest reviewed in the franchise.
Which was good for them. They needed that boost.
Unfortunately, it's sold bad still.
I mean, yeah, people are still butthurt about a lot of things. People hold on to grudges.
They didn't start selling well until 14.
Look at some of the people that are banned from Evo.
That's true.
People hold on to grudges. Learn that, Wizards of the Coast.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Even in the non-Wizards of the Coast episode, we can't
They
stop talking about
backpedaled since then. They backpedaled. They realized, oh yeah, if we screw over our fans, they're not going to buy our product, and they're half the reason why we're still in the game anyway. So
Yeah,
we should
the,
probably
that.
backpedal.
The OGL is kind of they're not
They-
really
it's-
messing with it anymore.
Going under renovation for 2.2, but they pretty much reversed everything they said they were going to do, which is very good news. That means the people now have power, and the people realize that, and they can combat stuff that is hurting their stuff. And like what I think there was also to stop a lot of the lawsuits they were getting.
Mm-hmm. They were getting.
They got one from like a bank because they were financially ruining themselves, and they were believed to do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is an OGL episode.
Yeah. So fighting games made their resurgence then, and in addition, just another one that I'll name. That's when Marvel vs. Capcom had its big return with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, because it had been at least 10 years since.
I'm not the biggest fan of Marvel vs. Capcom.
The franchise, or specifically 3?
The franchise and all, it just
Okay.
feels like a weird game to me.
Well, it's a tag fighter, and I know none of us are really
It's
big on
it's
tag
mostly
fighters.
like, okay, yeah, I can play as Monster Hunter, and he's gonna fight Iron Man.
I
It just
get
feels weird.
I see.
It feels. I just never liked those.
I mean, man in armor versus man in armor.
There's also a reason why I don't like Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle.
So I have a question
for that similar reason.
So, well, Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle just sucks to play.
Yeah, that too.
Like, at least Marvel vs. Capcom plays well.
Yeah, which it plays well. It's fine, and I enjoy playing it. It's just.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
So, I have a question that's going to lead into something later. How do you feel? So, is it all crossover fighting games in general, or is it just some of them? Like,
It's
is it
most?
Is it so in like that regard? But is it like we're going to do Shonen Jump the crossover?
That was a terrible idea.
Well,
if
that
they
was
handled it better.
You're thinking of
maybe,
Jump Forces, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, that was not their first, and it definitely won't be the last. That was like their fourth or fifth time doing that because they had the Battle Arena one. I forget what that one was called. Toshinden, I believe, unless I have the wrong game. And then they also had before that J Stars.
It's most.
This one's the worst by far.
Yeah, it's most like Clash Battleship.
So then here's another one. This is what I'm going to lead into later.
What about Mortal Kombat versus DC?
That one I still don't even like too much.
Well, that one doesn't play that great.
Yeah, that's...
So here, coming off that, what about Mortal Kombat? That's not Mortal Kombat. What about DC versus a Marvel fighting game?
If they release that, I feel like that's the most comforting because at least you're using two
comic book universes.
Yeah, you're using comic book universes to fight each other.
This is a company that's done multiple crossovers with each other in comic books.
Yeah, it's just when you have Capcom versus Marvel, that's weird. It's like old ladies versus the Taco Bell crowd. Like, they don't really clash with each other.
Well,
no, I get
What
it.
about when they released Darth Vader and fucking...
That's a guest character.
I never played, though, like, Darth Vader for one. But...
Well, that's true, but that's a guest character. That's a different thing. I hate guest characters.
Guest characters, some of them hit, some of them were bad. Like,
that's my
I hate
go-to.
the Joker. Where
Yoda.
where the fuck did Joker come in again?
Mortal Kombat 11.
That's what it was. I hate the Joker in Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah, I do too.
Rambo and RoboCop I'm still iffy on, but the voice acting and voice lines are decent enough.
Well, they got the original guys to do Rambo and RoboCop.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why I like it. Spawn was a good one, but it still feels rocky. Freddy I hated in 9. I fucking... One, because I hate that representation of Freddy, and it just felt like the weirdest fucking thing to add out of, like, left field.
That's fair.
Like,
that was the beginning of when Mortal Kombat started to add guest characters because he was the first one.
Yeah,
him and Kratos.
Yeah,
released
Kratos is equally as weird.
Well, Kratos was a PlayStation exclusive. That was a deal. That was a deal.
It was still. It was funny to whip Kratos out, but it was still like, why is Kratos in?
I believe he was
in
actually
Outrealm.
I believe Kratos actually banned in tournaments.
He has, and the one thing that's making me warm up to Kratos being in Mortal Kombat is the fact they reference it in God of War and God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Because they talk with Mimir, and he's just he mentions I was in a tournament where you'd fight demons, weird outland creatures, great heroes of old, and gods. I never heard of this, brother. And then it just continues.
Yeah, they actually referenced him in one of the endings of Mortal Kombat 11. So this is an ongoing thing that both their franchises are referencing each other. So they're apparently like happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, some guest characters work, others not so much.
Yeah, we could talk about guest characters a bit later, but just real quick, Mortal Kombat 9 was the first game to do guest characters because then 10 and 11 would continue that, and 9 did the one thing that players hate more than anything: console exclusive guest characters.
Yes.
Yeah, that. Because I would much rather have gotten Kratos than fucking
nothing.
Shit Kruger.
Well, no, the Kruger's on both.
Kruger's on all of them.
You just
just in general.
Yeah, no, I get that. You miss out if you played the Xbox though, because now you just don't have.
Yeah,
Kratos.
but when I switched from Xbox to PlayStation 3, I did pick it up, and I'm like, oh sweet, Kratos with Hercules gauntlets, which was my favorite thing in fucking.
And I was gonna bring up that Capcom did that once, and it was on one of their biggest failures ever. It was on Capcom, or not Capcom. It was on Street Fighter Cross Tekken.
Yeah,
and, they had bad box art Mega Man, Pac-Man, the two cats that are PlayStation mascots, Kuro and Turo.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to say, I remember Cole from Infamous being in there as well.
That's a weird one to even introduce.
I'm going to check on Cole.
On top of it being a bad game, that cross, universe v universes shouldn't really have guest characters unless they're from that universe.
Well, so here's why it came like this, right? Originally,
It sounds kind of like that song, fucking like 2010.
Cole was in it.
Batman riding Godzilla,
Yeah,
something. Then Superman comes in, and it's just
So, here's the story on this one. Originally, they were planning to introduce just Mega Man, and it was going to be bad box art Mega Man as a joke.
yeah.
And then unfortunately, the Mega Man series got canceled during development, and they went, "Oh no, we're too far in development to change it." And then everyone got pissed at that. And Pac-Man, Pac-Man's in. He's not just Pac-Man; he's controlling a Mokujin from Tekken. Because then the concept was these are going to be mascot characters from Capcom and Bandai Namco, because there's an uneven number in the roster, and that despite this being a tag fight where everyone has a canon partner, they put Akuma and Ogre in as single entries. So they were like, well, this will balance the roster out. And then
It didn't.
no, because what happened was they were like, we need more money to develop this. Let's get a sponsorship. Okay, who do we get a sponsorship from? I don't know. Let's just put it out there and see who takes. And PlayStation took it. And they're like, all right, here's the thing. We'll pick up the sponsorship, but we need exclusive characters only to the PlayStation version to get people to buy it. And Capcom was in such a situation where they needed that money. They're like, we can't really turn this down. And then Mega Man and Pac-Man were like, we'll slide them into just PlayStation exclusives. And I think later they might have become not PlayStation exclusive, but I'm not sure on that. And then PlayStation's like, all right, but that's cool. We need a few more. How about our mascots, Kuro and Turo? You could put one on the Capcom side and one on the Tekken side. And they're like, I guess so. And then later they're like, how about Cole? And they're like, why? And they're like, we own him.
I do want to mention something about the exclusive stuff, because it seems like that stuff is lightening up.
Yeah.
I forgot I learned the other day that God of War hit Steam.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're finally lightening up on some of the exclusive
Probably.
stuff. Because the God of War story, I know you personally hate the newer stuff a bit more.
I don't hate it. I just.
Well, you are not comfortable with it as much.
It's not. That's not it.
Well, I was saying because of your
No.
When I first mentioned it, you were like, "Nah, I don't like how they portray my boys.
I
my
don't.
Norse gods I represent, dog.
I don't. They don't portray them entirely the best, but like
That's part of the reason why.
the God of War doesn't really portray a lot of
No,
gods.
that's why like they use the allure of how do I describe it? They use myth and then interpretation of it, and you can see how that interpretation they have right there translated into the natural myth.
Yeah.
And I like that because it ends up with a lot of good material. Some of it really funny, but a good chunk of it just being damn pretty good. Like how in Ragnarok Loki gives birth to his 3 children. Well, technically 2 for right now, and I think he's gonna have the 3rd one later with Angrboda. But yeah, it's interesting how God of War does that, and that needed to be spread out to more.
Ty's just upset
avenues.
of who Loki is in God of War.
That's not true.
I'm upset on who voices Odin, because I feel like he sounds more like an Italian mobster than he does a Norse god.
We'll get to that. So, how about here? So you mentioned that the crossover thing between them about introducing characters. What if I told you though, and I don't know if you know this, and I don't know how many of our viewers know this either. Namco and Capcom with Street Fighter Cross Tekken, that was a part of a long franchise. And I don't mean, it was a part of Street Fighter, as part of Tekken. No, I mean, that is a part of the Cross franchise, which is why it's pronounced Street Fighter Cross Tekken, despite the fact that it's just an X.
Yeah.
That is not the first game in that franchise and wasn't planned to be the last. Before that is Namco X Capcom, which is an RPG using half the characters from Namco and half from Capcom. And then that would become Project Cross Zone, which included Sega, Project Cross Zone 2, and then a few other games like
Yeah.
Cross Edge. That was another one, Cross Edge. And then Street Fighter Cross Tekken is just a part of that franchise, and there was going to be a sequel called Tekken Cross Street Fighter, where they were going to do the opposite approach, where Street Fighter Cross Tekken played like a Street Fighter game, Tekken Cross Street Fighter is going to play like a Tekken game, and then because of the sales, that never happened, and they just kind of did this weird thing where Namco is just like, we didn't cancel it, it's just not. We're just pushing it off a bit. And they keep kind of stating that, and they've been saying that since, and there's kind of confusion, because sometimes they're like, yeah, it's officially off our list, and then they did that once not too long ago, they're like, yeah, officially, this isn't happening. And then, like, a week later, like, no, that was a bad translation. We didn't say it's officially not happening, we said it's pushed back.
Yeah, it's pushed back.
I just find it weird that they decided to do a series of RPGs, and in the middle of this series of RPGs, we're going to have a fighting game. That is
definitely weird, especially when your two origins are fighting games. So, honestly, I think that whole thing is kind of handled pretty messily. But on top of that, I just don't like Universe X Universe.
Oh no,
stuff.
and I figured you wouldn't like this. I'm just mentioning it because I don't know how many people actually even know this exists. Because Namco's Capcom, the first one, was never officially translated or sold in America.
I'm trying to think.
The Project Crossstones were.
Guest characters are still offhand like.
Fuck it, let's start. Let's talk about guest characters then for a bit before we get into the big games.
I mean, we could talk about 4 big games.
Yeah. Before we get into those, though, we'll talk briefly about guest characters.
I mean, I'll refer to like big games that would be on this list.
Mortal Kombat.
I'm also going to add Injustice because
I feel
that's
like
part
it's
of it, big
yeah.
enough. But I'm also going to mention
of
some of my personal guest character likes and dislikes. One of them, unfortunately, is your favorite one, the Ninja Turtles for Injustice 2.
I like because
you like him as a guest
Turtles.
character, yeah.
I don't see. Here's the thing. I have a very specific definition of what I think a guest character should or should not be, and for the most part, it's pretty consistent. If you have a fighting game and you're going to add a guest character,
they should fight,
and that guest character is not from a fighting game, 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to like them. But terms of
at least the character models for the Turtles was fine.
They
look a lot better than half the other shit that happened.
Okay with the Ninja Turtles because they're in Injustice 2, which is about DC Comics. And what they did is they picked a comic character.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that because we're sticking to the source material, at least, of comic books. And then they also put in... I'm less okay with Raiden and Sub-Zero in that one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention, too. They're
okay.
I feel uncomfortable.
I don't hate them, and it's more like a nod to
Sub-Zero and Scorpion are definitely not heroes of any sort.
No.
If anything, they're anti-heroes at best. Raiden is kind of there, and he tries to be a hero, and he fumbles constantly.
I think the worst part is that they actually have them be in the plot.
Yeah, I don't think it should be the game at all.
It's canon to Injustice 2 that Raiden and Sub-Zero show up, and in Mortal Kombat 11, they reference the fact that they were there.
And I wish they didn't.
Mm-hmm. It's actually even part of the story mode of Mortal Kombat 10 that Sub-Zero disappears in the later half because he goes to Injustice on accident. He gets pulled into their realm.
I'm more happy with... Was it Hellboy in Injustice 2?
That was the other one I was going to mention. Yeah, and he's another comic character, so I'm okay with it.
I'm fine with Hellboy because he's in one of those middle grounds of not necessarily belonging to DC or Marvel.
Yeah.
So he doesn't really get enough...
Well, they're trying to pick indie comics.
Good stuff in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indie comics are fine. I like the fact that... I want Spawn to be added, but I don't think they'll add Spawn.
Well, they just used him for Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, that's why I don't think they're going to add him.
He's okay in my opinion, but I'm not a fan of most of the Mortal Kombat characters.
Well, I like the Dark Horse comic stuff. So
I get it.
I'm not a fan of Mortal Kombat 11 in general.
Oh,
that's another one. We'll talk about our...
just not fun.
We'll talk about our griefs with that.
Honestly, it'd be fun to just see Devilman.
Like from the anime?
Yes.
Well, it was a comic, too. Well, manga, which I think is...
Kind of counts.
Yeah,
we should get Panty Man.
We should get Panty
yes,
because he is actually a comic book.
Give me Panty Man.
If they
also Hentai Common is what...
If they do...
I want spinning fire on Batman's face.
Real quick, if they do Injustice 3, what are you guys thinking should be their
gear system should go away.
No, not that. That definitely.
Because I wanted to segue into
hang on.
because I know you have a bit on that.
Yeah, we'll go into that. But real quick, what about before we finish up with guest characters, and then we can segue into that. What do you think if they do an Injustice 3? What do you think should be
The Mask?
Yeah, I was saying, what do you think
Yes.
should be their indie comics character?
Honestly, yeah, we mentioned that like a Spawn.
I have a few.
I would love to see the Defiler. We said it, Hellboy, The Mask. I would even take Abe Sapien.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Abe Sapien's not really a fighter, though.
No, but I have a feeling
He
he has
can
a
be.
good couple things. Like he's got to have some tech. Like they give fighting moves to characters that don't lift a single finger sometimes.
I forget his name. Who was the Nazi guy?
The Nazi guy. The only one I'm thinking is Stronheim from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
God damn it.
He just got, side note,
Are you
he's talking about
talking-
fighting games. He
are-
just got released into All-Star
Wait,
Battle.
are you
Battle.
talking about the main bad guy in the movie?
He's
Oh
also
no,
in the
no,
comic.
no! You're talking about that guy. I forget. Is like I know who you're talking about. He's the assassin who has clockwork like organs, pretty much, and he's full of sand.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember his name because it's like
It's something weird.
something stroking off. I don't know.
They're also
Yeah.
in the
Hans?
comics though.
Yeah, I know they're in the comics.
Hans?
That Han sounds
They're-
accurate.
Yeah.
I don't think they
Think,
mentioned his
uh,
actual like. I think he has a name in the comics that he goes by like a nom de Crom or so.
So, yeah, I think so. So,
I forget how to pronounce that
For-
French term now. Unfortunately,
for my
I thought you were talking
right?
about leader of Russia at some point, Rasputin.
Got it.
No.
So for mine, I'll real quick throw this out there, and then we could. And I just want to mention something about guest characters overall. But I saw some people saying it should be Invincible because that's an indie comic.
Invincible would be an interesting ad. I'm not gonna.
I'm
I
thinking.
would
Down that
take
one.
Omni-Man over
Omni-Man would be pretty.
I
good
mean, I'm
too.
just Invincible as in like the series, not
Yeah.
not like
Yeah,
the character, but like. I'm thinking the Mask is probably their best bet, but you know what? Another one I'll throw
Mask
out.
needs to be rejuvenated. in
I'll
a
throw out
good way.
another one that would be real easy for them. G.I. Joe and Walking Dead are comic books. And those have been really long-running and established comic books.
I'd rather G.I. Joe in Mortal Kombat than I would in an Injustice game.
Well, I would rather him not be in Mortal Kombat, because I think Mortal Kombat should kind of slow its guest character down. I know they won't.
Yeah, I know they won't either. But if I had to just pick,
Go to more... I think they should go to more fighting games.
Yeah,
Okay, maybe you can have one DC character in a game, since I know you're owned by Warner Brothers. But, like...
you know what?
You know.
Power Rangers needs to add Kamen Rider.
Power Rangers had Rio.
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes,
Kamen Rider would be great for
Kamen
them.
Rider.
Kamen Rider would be perfect.
So, for guest characters, just some examples of ones that I liked.
just give me all the Rangers in one fighting game.
That'd be pretty good.
I'll take that as a cross battle.
That'd be a good one, yeah. The guys who did I forget the company that did the Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, they should just do Power Rangers cross Kamen Rider.
Kamen Rider.
That'd be great.
Or
Or Rangers Unite.
Yeah.
That just call
Yes.
it that.
They
It'd be, there you go. There's your next title, boys.
So, just some examples of guest characters, like when I said they should be from fighting games. Akuma showing up in Tekken, that was great. Geese showing up in Tekken, that was great.
Yeah,
Baiken in Samurai Showdown, that was a good one.
that was a good
That
one.
was a good one.
And there's some other ones, and one of the only ones that I'm like really okay with that wasn't from a fighting game is when they put the Battletoads in Killer Instinct.
That was a good one. It's just goofy enough to work as a side character because they have another goofy character in there that works that I thought was a guest character.
Who's that?
I forget exactly, but I know it wasn't the Battletoads guy.
I have no idea, but
Sponsored by Battletoads.
We're
especially
not-
since I'm
we're not
drinking out of
sponsored by
no, we
Battletoads.
aren't. But I'm drinking out of a Battletoads G Fueled cup,
however,
so
if,
it's perfect.
if Battletoads wants to, Battletoads is pretty
Oh, fuck
great.
yeah, I love
So
Battletoads.
so real quick, other guest
Earthworm Jim
characters.
too.
Earthworm Jim, great.
Toe
So
Jam and Earl.
Some other guest characters. They had Akira in Street Fighter V.
Street Fighter V.
She's from Rival Schools.
I want to make the same
Great
joke I made
franchise.
on the drunk episode. I didn't know they were going to put Big Melted Baby into a fighting game.
And then probably the most prolific one at this point is every Final Fight character, literally almost every Final Fight character being in Street Fighter.
Yeah.
They're basically the same franchise at this point. I think Street Fighter should absorb a few more franchises that they don't want to do anything with. Like at this point,
Yeah.
we haven't had a Rival Schools game in 15 years, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's just absorb Rival Schools. Let's absorb Captain Commando because it's confirmed Captain Commando is is set like 1,000 years in the future from Final Fight because he's in Metro City still.
I mean, sure, I'll take that.
Let's get Strider in there. They don't want to do a new Strider game. It's canon now.
Now you say Strider, I think of the dude with the gun that Dave liked to spam in Mortal Kombat.
No, not that.
Except his name was Stryker, wasn't it?
Yep.
Striker.
So let's start talk about. You want to talk about Injustice then?
Well,
I'm fine with talking about a little bit of Injustice.
Let's talk about Injustice and Mortal Kombat as well.
I feel like, although not as big of names, it's still big enough of a name because it's the DC fighter.
Well, it's big because it's made by the guys who do Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
It also has DC to its names.
Right, that's what he just said.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I meant like when it comes to DC fighting games, I think of that before Capcom versus DC.
There's no Capcom
There's no
versus DC.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's Marvel versus Capcom. There's a DC DC versus Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
That's what I'm thinking.
We talked about that earlier.
I'm sorry, my brain went elsewhere.
Mortal Kombat versus DC.
It's going to Happier Times.
Okay.
And I'm trying to figure out if I said it here or the drunk episode.
No, we mentioned it earlier, but so real quick to anyone that doesn't know, the guys that do Mortal Kombat are officially called NetherRealm Studios, and they were originally a part of. Not Acclaim. Midway. They were with Midway.
Yeah.
That's who they did the first several Mortal Kombat games with until Midway went under and they started selling off all of their rights to just try to survive longer. And Warner Brothers bought Mortal Kombat and the devs came with it, and they formed NetherRealm Studios as a part of Warner Brothers.
That sounds right. I
Warner
just
Brothers
remember
owns DC. And that's why they have now their current games, Mortal Kombat. I believe Mortal Kombat vs. DC was with them. I'm not sure.
I try to remember anything of it, and I just remember Tobias Boone is
left the company.
Yeah, he was also
no. You combined both. You combined both their names.
Oh, is it
John Tobias and Ed Boon?
The reason why I did that probably is because of Noob Saibot for one. No, I was thinking of in Fallout New Vegas, they had a character called Boone.
Yeah.
And I think his name was Tobias Boone.
Yeah, probably in reference. No, yeah, those were the two creators, John Tobias and Ed Boon. And,
but I think it was from that company, possibly. I can't remember exactly who did, who helped make New Vegas. Because it's not one of my favorite games. That may be a hot take.
Well, we can do something like that later.
Yeah, it's...
they started doing it though. Essentially, I believe Mortal Kombat vs. DC was the first one, but Mortal Kombat 9 and up are the NetherRealm games. Those are the ones that are under Warner Brothers. And all three of us sitting at this table think that half of their games under Warner Brothers are good, and the other half just suck. And unfortunately, the ones that suck are their most recent Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice 2.
Injustice 2.
And
I think
it's 9, all because of that gear 10, system for you, for the most part.
It's entirely the gear system, and the fact that I still don't have goddamn Nightwing because of it.
Do you want to go over Nightwing?
Real quick, because we are running out of time. We've got 30 minutes left, so fast I will.
Because I want to hear your rant again, this time on this episode.
Here's
this time when we're not drunk.
Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice 2 share a gear system. In 11, it's not as bad. It's just for cosmetics.
Yeah.
In Injustice 2, it is for cosmetics as well as stats because gear ups your stats. Don't do this system. Please don't do this system because it sucks and ruins the game. Just give me costumes and don't have the gear be attached to stats. Either way, one of the gear you could get in Injustice 2 is abilities, and these are abilities that'll literally add new moves to your characters, and everyone complained about these when this game came out, and they dropped that for Mortal Kombat 11. One of these abilities is, I want to say it's just called Nightwing Staff or something like that.
Yeah, I think you said it was Nightwing Staff.
What it is it's an ability for Robin, and if you equip it to him, it takes both his ability slots. It changes his entire moveset out to Nightwing's moveset from the first game. He has the staff, he changes the staff into the sticks, he hits with the staff instead of using the sword, and it even changes his display name to Nightwing. And I played Nightwing in the first one. I want goddamn Nightwing, and I have to random chance get this ability that's a rare ability that you can't easily obtain through random loot boxes in this goddamn game. And I've owned this game for 2-3 years at this point, and I still get pissed because I can't get him whenever I boot up the game and try.
Yeah, I'll add, it's him going on and off.
Yeah, it's not a consistent 2 to 3 years, but I will, for a few months out of the year, I'll try.
Which I'll add
a bit longer.
It's not so much that you added the system, sure, whatever, But to hide a special character behind a wall like that...
If it was just like it changed his display name, okay, whatever. No, it actually entirely changed out his entire moveset.
And they made it super hard to get most of those items.
The abilities are the hardest ones to get in the game.
I have less of a hard time in Warframe collecting prime pieces. Like, I can go on, grind out half those pieces, sell a bunch of stuff for plat to buy the other thing I need. Whereas you, for 3 years, on and off, have been trying to get this stupid thing.
Yeah.
It's just a bad system.
Someone will walk in.
Yeah, it would be fine if they had the system, just don't make those pieces super hard to
I would
get.
already be upset at the system, but
No,
it wouldn't ruin
it's
the
not
game
fine to
for
have
me.
the
Just swap
system.
out,
It's
swap
just
out the
because-
stat stuff for cosmetic stuff
Well, that's what
only.
they did for
That's
Mortal
what they did
Kombat
for Mortal
11, and
Kombat.
I'm
Yeah.
still upset with it. Like, just give me costumes, because I think the costumes from like Mortal Kombat 10 and 9 are just going to look better than
Oh
the
yeah,
gear
they are.
system.
I think they should have
I
costumes
don't
on top of that.
Absolutely hate the gear system. It's just something I wish it didn't have, but it doesn't ruin the game. The gear system in Injustice 2 absolutely ruins the game because it's tied to stats.
Do what Vermintide does. They still have separate... Granted, it changed costume because you're changing class, but then
Yeah.
you can add stuff to that.
Right, but like the issue with the Injustice 2 one is that it affects stats. So if you want to go online and play, you better hope you have good equipment for your character.
Oh, yeah, or else
because
you're
if your
screwed.
opponent just loot boxed better equipment, he's just going to beat you because literally, and you've seen it, comparatively, I could end a match in 2 to 3 hits with my top equipment on most of it's on Robin because I've been farming for that Nightwing. I could end a match in like 2 to 3 hits with Robin, and it takes off like 60-70% of this guy's health bar because the other guy has no equipment. He's literally walking in with just bottom tier stuff.
He was fighting a computer on fast forward. I leave, I come back, match is over. It had to have been a max of like 10 seconds.
Yeah, that sounds about
And
right.
that's a 2-round match. Because I had to go through 2 health bars. The computer didn't touch once.
I will say, going a little bit back, so we could do a little bit of a segue, going back to guest characters.
Yeah.
What needs more guest characters is stuff like Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear should have more guest characters.
I think that I agree that Guilty Gear should, but I don't fully agree with
I would
the
disagree
statement it
with
needs
that
it.
statement.
I think
No, it
adding
doesn't
them
need
would
it.
help.
It would not hurt to have
The
them.
issue is, what do you do with Guilty Gear? Because Guilty Gear is so weird, and I think the only things you could do for it are characters you already own.
Yeah.
Adding in someone from BlazBlue
That's fair.
or from Undernight. Because, like, you put Ryu in Guilty Gear, it's just going to look weird.
Well, no, I'm not saying
Well, like
Ryu.
Mortal Kombat,
I'm
actually.
saying, like,
That's just a...
try to get, like, stuff from, like, I'll take popular anime.
So you want to pull anime in.
Yeah.
Well, the current biggest... So, Guilty Gear is currently ongoing
So-
with its season pass, and it has 2 characters left, I believe, unless they want to do another season pass before the current Guilty Gear is done. And the number 1 most requested character is Goku.
No,
And
I'm
the
going to
reason
ignore
why-
any situation that says
But-
Goku.
So they actually have backing for this one instead of, and the reason why, because these guys also did, and a lot of this team worked on Dragon Ball Fighters, and it's in the same engine, so they can easily import Goku over.
I don't care if it's easy.
Oh, I agree.
The,
It should
the
be
idiots
Goku.
that add Goku as an answer for anything get mad that he's not the Super Beast character.
I agree.
Because they
that
did it a
shouldn't be
few
Goku.
times.
Smash Bros.
Well,
They did it for Smash Bros.
Well, no, I meant they did it and succeeded, and then the players got mad that he wasn't the best character there. No, they tried to do it for Smash Bros. They had to redo that entire survey, scratching Goku from it.
Yeah, they're like,
and then I think Bayonetta
yeah.
ended up getting added at that point.
I think she... I think that's right.
Yeah, because I think she was the direct after character, because I voted for Bayonetta.
Actually, I believe that was before the first DLC, so I believe that was actually even before they put Roy from Melee
Actually,
back
you know what?
in.
It could have not been Bayonetta. It was probably Ryu, now that I think about it, because I think Ryu was the first Smash Bros. Character.
This first DLC?
Yeah, first DLC Smash Bros. Character.
No, first was Roy.
Was it Roy?
Because he was from Melee, so they already had the foundation. Then I believe the second was Bayonetta, but I'm going to check on that right now.
In my mind, it was Ryu, then Bayonetta. But anyway, yeah, I would take make new assets for Guilty Gear that are not super bad anime.
We're way off.
Why? What was it?
So real quick, first one is actually Mewtwo. because
Oh,
he
yeah.
had
Yeah.
the bonus if you bought both versions.
Yeah, I
you get it.
completely erased him from my head.
Second, they put Lucas back in from Brawl because he was cut. I forgot he was even cut.
Was that a DLC?
Yes.
Oh.
And then the next one was Roy. And then Ryu. And then we're not even getting to Bayonetta yet because after Ryu was Cloud. And then after Cloud was Corrin from Fire Emblem.
You know what?
I
And then
see.
Bayonetta was the last one for Smash 4.
I will say this: none of us really play Smash.
No, I mean,
Like,
we'll play it, but like we're not like super huge into it.
I train Amiibo chickens for Amiibo cockfights.
Honestly,
'Cause
I
it's
lost
funny.
it once they added Minecraft Steve.
That's
Yeah,
when that's when I
Minecraft
quit.
is stupid.
I know it
I
brought
quit
a lot
before
of
that.
I know it brought a lot of people in, but that was the nail in the coffin.
That-
I played. I had the DLC pass for it. I was playing each character when they would release. I refused to play Steve, and I still don't play Steve. I own him because I own the DLC pass, and I think I played the characters after him, but I
Yeah.
refused to play Steve.
Steve's just so stupid.
I
the
know it
dumbest
brought.
ad.
I hate it so much, and I know it brought in a lot of players, but I still can't
I
stand
don't
it.
care
In a
if it brought
business
players.
standpoint,
those players
it
didn't need
was
to be
smart.
No, but it upped their sales, and I get why they did it.
there. Oh, from
Again,
a financial standpoint, sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
From integrity, no.
No, I do think it ruined some of the integrity of the game. Look, if you wanted an indie character,
They might as well add Goku.
Well, they wanted an indie character. I get that. You want to appease the indie scene a bit.
Well-
There are so many better indie characters that would have worked.
Oh, so many.
I know the top popular one was Shovel Knight. Just do that.
yeah,
Yes.
Shovel Knight would have been awesome.
I
Just
would have
do
loved
that.
it. I would have.
I know
played
Cuphead
Shovel
was
Knight.
popular at that point, and when they did the Steve reveal, they gave Cuphead an outfit for the Mii. Not as bad.
Yeah, I'd still rather Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight would have been awesome.
Shantae is another one that people wanted.
Instead, Aether, what is it? Fuck. Rivals of Aether got Shovel Knight.
Yep.
Rivals of Aether is a better Smash. I'm gonna hands down say that.
I just don't care for platform fighters.
That's
I
fair.
play
Yeah.
both, and I'm like, it doesn't hold my attention. For
I
long.
just like Rivals of Aether.
When
'cause
are we
it has
getting
really
Nintendo
good
versus PlayStation?
stuff.
I want to beat Mario up with Big Daddy.
When are we gonna get PlayStation All Stars 2?
You say that, and all I can think of, hello Mario.
Oh no. So back to it. Let's start talking about some of these other big franchises that we haven't really
Yeah.
mentioned yet. Oh right, Guilty Gear. We were in the middle of talking about Guilty
Yeah,
Gear's
that's why I
guest
wanted to
characters.
do that segue.
So I think the thing with Guilty Gear is, right, they're so concerned about lore, and there's a few fighting
That's
games that are, but like if you want to talk fighting games that lore has to come absolutely first before gameplay, it's Guilty Gear and King of Fighters. Because both those are like, alright, if someone's dead, they can't come back.
Yeah.
Alright, if this character in the lore is now weaker, we have to adjust their moveset. Like in the current Guilty Gear, the lore literally says Soul Bad Guy can't Dragon install anymore. So he can't Dragon install in the game. And that term, the install super, comes from the Dragon install. But now Kai gets the Dragon install because in the lore again, Kai has a new temporary ability that gives him essentially a Dragon install. It kind of sucks in the game, but lore-wise, that's how it went.
Yeah, I'm fine with the stuff that follows lore, because
Well,
it's cool little ads.
It's a lot harder for them to put guest characters in if the lore doesn't work. King of Fighters refused to do guest characters for a long time unless the lore fit in or it was a weird spin-off game.
Yeah, I guess that'd be a good...
Because to them, they're like, every character in the DLC has to be canon. So how do we put them into a canon story?
You know, I will retract my statement at that. Then
That's why I said I think you could do it for Guilty Gear, but it's going to have to be someone so bizarrely weird that they could fit it in like a BlazBlue character.
They should release Shovel Knight into Guilty Gear.
No.
You can leave now.
Hear me out. In
I'm
the background,
against
there's
that
just
one.
a hole.
No.
I'm against that one.
Um,
And I love Shovel Knight. I still
so
need to play through the fucking Gold Knight DLC
Oh, yeah, I
shit.
forgot that
And
came
then
out.
Plague Knight I played. Still need to play Gold Knight.
yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the hard part with Guilty Gear is getting that guest character in there.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Guilty Gear doesn't need guest characters.
Now with that explain, yeah, it doesn't need it, but it would
No.
be fun to have
It's
them.
kind of insulting that you even brought it up.
Yeah,
No, it's not.
string
it's
me
an
up,
idea.
crucify me.
So here's the other thing, right?
Well, with that
Gear-
explanation, I could forgive them for not doing it. I think with their system, their artwork, it would look really nice to
Oh,
have
it
some
would.
stuff. Like if you took the
I
chick
think-
from I put all my points into defense and just put that character in, I think that'd be a really funny ad.
Maple, right? Her
Yeah.
name's Maple.
Put Maple in, and that would be really
So
funny.
here's what I think would be better, and I know it'd be expensive, but I think it would be just better. let's have them just do essentially a new BlazBlue cross tag battle. But first, fix the issues. 1, actually make it play well.
Yeah.
Get rid of
2,
Ruby.
don't have it be a BlazBlue game. Just have it be a generic Arc System Works game.
Yeah,
so that it's
make
not
it Arc
canon.
System, yeah.
And
Arc
then
System
2,
would be fun.
just put in characters that you think would be fun from your franchises, and then get a few more from outside your thing, because you guys have worked so close with a few other franchises. Like, let's put a few Melty Blood characters in here.
Melty Blood would be
Yeah.
fine. I was even fine a little bit with Ruby characters because they kind of
It
worked
was
in that
fine
world.
as guest characters
Yeah,
until
as
they
guest
decided
characters, they were
this is a
fine.
canon story element that their world is collided with the
Yeah,
BlazBlue world.
That's not bad. Just don't add story at that point. You could literally
Their
just
character
have...
selection was weird.
Yes.
Yeah,
They
just...
put the main for it, I get that, and then after that they put in the chick with the two-tone hair.
yeah.
I don't know her name. I don't watch Ruby.
Neo.
Yes.
Neapolitan.
That's
Yeah.
right, her name's a pun. Yeah, they put her in. Her? Really? Of all the characters you could have added? I know
I'd
I
rather
don't
the
know
monkey
a ton
dude.
about that's who I would have put. He's my
Sun?
favorite character.
Yeah, Sun.
I don't know
which
a
is
ton-
Sun Wukong.
I don't know about a ton about Ruby, but like I know enough. What about any of the B team?
I
I don't
want
know
Crow.
I don't know they're a team. This is the father, right?
Uncle.
Uncle, okay. What about any of the B team? I don't know.
B-
I don't
B
know.
team
You
would
know
have
you
been
know what I'm
fine,
talking about,
except
right?
for what
Hammer Girl,
Arthur.
Jean.
Is it Jean?
Yeah, because his
Yeah.
he's a joke. His name is literally Jean d'Arc.
Oh, he's a reference to Jean d'Arc. I was thinking Arthur
No, yeah.
from Knights of the Round.
Yeah, him, Greek girl, hammer chick,
Pura.
and,
I like hammer chick.
and Asian man.
Ren.
Well, I called her
Oh, yeah.
I called her Greek chick because her abilities remind me of like
I'll say this
Greek.
live so it could be even more canon of how to just obscure my appearances. Bernie started calling me Secret Asian Man because of how much I just squint a lot. Because my Mongolian heritage is apparently seeping through.
What the?
So when I'm smiling, she can't tell if my eyes are open.
Oh, that's awful and amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. I love it. It's really funny. Because
For those
you
of you-
remember through high school, I was called Attila the Hun or Genghis Khan a lot for
Yes.
senior year 1 and 2 for me.
Harlan is actually he could trace some lineage back to that stuff.
I really can. Like, when you hear the fact that there's like a 78 or 71% chance that if your family is from Europe, you are related to Genghis Khan.
It's a high chance.
You look at me, and with especially how I had my hair before, you can kind of believe it. Because I have the squinty features, my hair, my facial hairstyle grows similar to that of people with Mongolian heritage. And technically, like, where my ancestors were, it's pretty close to a lot of the near heart places that Genghis Khan, if you care about the pronunciation, where he was able to actually successfully take over. Actually, you know what? On top of that, video game idea. Give me Heroes of Old fighting game. Give me Drifters, the fighting game. I want Genghis Khan versus Alexander the Great.
You know what? I'm in. Let's get it made by our
Yes.
System Works because I think they can do the art style really
That
well.
would be pretty good. That would be a fun game to play.
Speaking of,
I think the only one you probably shouldn't touch is Adolf Hitler, to be perfectly honest.
yeah, that's the one. Maybe Jesus.
I'll take... Was he...
No, he's DLC.
I just remember...
He's the ending.
I remember a fighting game that did
Final
something similar,
boss.
but it was a whole joke. So he had
Fight
the
of
panels... I think so. He had the panels still nailed to his hands, and they used them like tonfas. And
Yeah.
Jesus just sitting...
I don't think it's Fight of Gods.
It's
then.
not Fight of Gods,
It's-
but I
It's
know what you're
equal...
talking
Yeah,
about.
it's so obscure. Oh, but it was really funny.
It's also not Soul Calibur, if that's what you're thinking.
No, it's not Soul Calibur.
No, it is Fight of Gods.
Is it Fight of Gods?
I've never played Fight of Gods.
I've only heard of it,
This
and
game.
it's really funny, because
I
I just
pulled-
remember Bro Jesus,
I pulled up-
Tonfa,
I
Crucifix.
just typed in Jesus fighting game, and the cover of Fight of Gods came up, and he's on the cover with them.
It's a pretty good one. But yeah, give me like actual Heroes of Old, because you have a very wide selection you could pick from.
Fight of Gods, by the way, in case
Like,
anyone's curious, is
Jack the Ripper, fucking Musashi.
yeah. Oh my God, his round intro is he's literally on the cross.
Oh
that
yeah, and
breaks
he
off.
breaks it
off.
like
I know I've seen
It's
this game
so
before, but I've
weird.
never
breaks
played
it like Chuck Norris.
If,
It's the best.
if anyone's interested in what Fight of Gods is, Fight of Gods is essentially like the go-to example of like a so bad it's good fighting game. That and Dong Dong Never Die is the other one.
Yeah.
Do you know that
Yes.
I know Dong Dong Never Die.
one? If you guys don't, look it up. It's Chinese, I believe.
I completely forgot Santa
It's
Claus
either that or
is in Fight of
Korean.
Gods.
Well, here's the best part. Mario's in it as a playable character, and he's not called Mario, but they literally just stole his sprite. I'm pulling up where Dong Dong Never Die was from. It has a 5 out of 5.
It's one of those games that's so bad it's great. Like it's one
I'm
of
not
those
gonna
games
try to
that.
pronounce the developer's first name,
just,
but his last name is Dinosaur.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Yeah, I'm pretty. So I believe
coming
that's
over
pronounced.
this mic.
I believe that's pronounced Jiangxi Dinosaur.
Jiangxi Dinosaur, yeah.
My gosh.
J-I-A...
Jiang. Jiangxi
Fuck, X-I, fuck.
space dinosaur. Yeah, your playable characters are Dong Dong, A Shuang, Ken, Yin Yin, Ming Boy, Liu Meng, Mr. Boring, the Flower Twins, Goki, Terminator. It's not the Terminator. It's just a guy called that. Mian Hua Tang, Kenjiro, Magician, Jiang Bao, Jackie, Xiao Ban,
Wait.
Matchstick Man, Mario, Sun Wukong, Dalan, Zhuge Liang, Fei Fei, Bioman, and Violent Dong Dong.
Violet Dong Dong.
I remember Violent Dong Dong is one of like the big characters that people like. It's just
great.
it's just Dong Dong, but his hair is just
Yeah.
bright red and like slicked back.
It's a super weird fighting game with terrible hitboxes, but you can't help but smile and have a good time even if you're losing.
Hilariously bad. I can't find out where this thing is from.
My guess
I'm gonna
is
guess
Korea
China.
or China.
I'm guessing China, but I'm not sure. And the only reason why I'm guessing that is because I recognized a few of the names of characters as actual historic figures in China.
Yeah,
Zhuge Liang is a famous figure in.
And Kenjiro.
Yeah,
Kenjiro was Musashi's rival, if I'm remembering that correctly.
spelled different.
It's spelled different, but it's,
yes. Well, Zhuge Liang is and it could just be a reference, but Zhuge Liang is a historic figure in.
yeah,
ancient
you know what? I
China.
think I'm backing you with it is Chinese because a lot of the names sound similar to.
They have got the monkey god. They literally have Sun Wukong as a.
Oh,
in there.
yeah, then yeah, it's Chinese.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. All right. So back to good fighting games.
We were talking about good fighting.
We're just that's right. We're just about 10. We got just over 10 minutes left, and we haven't really touched on. We talked a bit about Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
And we're just hoping they kind of go back to the 9 and 10 style. We talked a bit about Guilty Gear.
I will note.
Guilty Gear wasn't huge, by the way. It just got really big with Strive.
This will be a 2-part episode. We're just talking about the big quote unquote big leagues, the ones you're going to hear about first, and then we'll talk about the little leaguers, which are equally as good, if not better. But they just don't get enough.
They're not. These are the ones you're most likely to hear about.
better.
Most of them are better.
These are the ones you're most likely to hear about if you don't play fighting games.
Yeah.
So you're most likely to know Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, maybe King of Fighters and Guilty Gear, because those have gotten really big with their newest releases, but those were never considered premier fighting games. King of Fighters used to be back in the 90s. But
yeah, where the other ones are going to be, I'm referring to them as they don't have a series, so people may not know them if they stayed in that time period.
Yeah, some of them have a series.
You know
It's
what
just
we
series that
didn't
go
actually
on.
address
like Darkstalkers.
when we were talking about Mortal Kombat?
What's up?
The fact that they have a block button.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know what? That's right.
The outlier, we got drunkenly mad at the block button.
Most fighting games don't have a block button. You just hold back. And then you have goddamn Mortal Kombat with its block button. Just let me hold back. You could have the block button as well, but let me just hold back to block hits. Because it happens every time. We're going to go back to
Another fighting game.
we'll go back to Mortal Kombat after not playing it for a while. And then one of us will just eat a bunch of hits. And we're like, why am I blocking? I'm holding back. And then it goes, I got to hold the block button. And it goes, what the fuck's the block button again?
Yeah, it's just...
It's kind of like when we play Under Night. And then we just don't press X, and then all of a sudden we're like, why am I not doing this combo right? And then it's like, I could use X.
The Under Night X button is just for building the gauge. I forget what it's called though.
I mean,
And
you
then
only
also
really have
some
that
special
problem.
moves.
Mika be doing number on you, Mr. Turtleneck Boy.
No, he's saying when we go out of it.
When we go out of it,
when we stop playing it, we'll be like, how do I do my one combo? Why isn't it working? I'm trying to.
Oh,
like when we go from Under Night to like Guilty Gear, and we just go, what do I do?
I don't have too much of that issue still because I have a good dissect of it mentally.
I think we're just we're like talking like when we go back, like we'll play Under Night for like a few hours and immediately jump, and we're like, oh, it's all gone.
Yeah, unless I'm playing a character I can immediately go and play to, I do resort to, that's right, I need to fix my shit a little bit.
We didn't really talk about Tekken at all, or Street Fighter.
I mean, let's go over those
real quick, because I do have
sprinkled enough of it throughout.
Well, we didn't talk about it now. Tekken like once. I do want to end this on something, so we'll talk briefly. None of us are really Tekken players, is the thing.
The closest thing I got is Tekken Bowling.
Tekken is like super
huge. Give us a professional Tekken bowling league.
It's better than most of the bowling
games. The issue is that none of the Tekken characters really resonate with any of us. We kind of talked about this on our
with the exception of me. I like Famumran.
Fakumran?
That one.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? And I get Tekken has some good characters, but I don't really hear a lot of people when you go on the internet and talk about like best fighting game characters. I don't see a lot of Tekken characters. Maybe it's what I'm looking at and all. But I'm typically only seeing, Street Fighter, King of Fighters, Guilty Gear, BlazBlue, like other ones.
Yeah,
Mortal
Tekken
Kombat.
Is that one it's that awkward kid in the corner everyone forgets about.
Outside of maybe 5 to 10 characters being essentially the main trio of the Mishima family, Heihachi, Kazuya, and Jin.
Yeah.
And like a few more like King, I don't really see a ton of people talk about Tekken characters like, this is the best.
Yeah, it's an alright game. It's just compared to what else is out there, it kind of easily gets slimmed over.
It's so different to play Tekken than to play any other fighting game because even like a game like Virtua Fighter, which is like the closest you're gonna get, it's still like Virtua Fighter is still set up like you've got punch buttons, you have kick button. Where in Tekken you have left arm, left leg, right leg. You figure it out.
Yeah,
and also some of the longest move lists in fighting game history.
But man,
people that don't play Tekken and look at like any of the Tekken characters, they go, "Holy shit, how many moves does this guy have?" And then you look at Lei Wulong and go, "Holy shit, why does he have 5 times as many?" And then you realize he has 5 fighting styles that he'll switch between mid-match.
Yeah. That's why I just stick with the rush down fighters. These Fakum Ram, sweet, I'm good.
Play Hwoarang. I know that's how I say it, and I know that some people get pissed at that, and it's like, it's wrong. But
there's
like
people out there that get mad at Ryu because they pronounce it Ryu. Ryu.
Well, the reason why I said that is because it's specifically their own game will pronounce it differently in which game you're in.
Yeah.
If you're in like Tekken 5, it's Hwoarang, but if you're in Tekken 6, it's Hwoarang. I mean, so like they change up his own name pronunciation across games. I believe this
is my input when it comes to at least names because I've encountered a lot of situations where I know you're little people.
Go ahead.
Names I feel like the one thing you could fuck up on because between cultures alone, there's 7 different pronunciations for one name, like English, like American English, Harlan, just Southern. Then you have proper English, which is, I think they would put more emphasis on the R and a little bit more on the end of my A. French, it's Harlem or something like that. I probably did it wrong. Probably from
Jersey, Harlem. It's R.
Yeah, you do a little bit of a little after the L on my name. Spanish, it's God, how is it?
Yeah,
I forget Spanish.
As long as you're close enough.
Yeah, and that one ghetto kid, like just
or my father, who still thinks that your name is Harland.
Yeah,
and he calls you Colonel Sanders because that's Colonel Sanders' first name was Harland.
Yeah, I'm fine.
And I'm
with
like,
that.
There's no D.
It's because it's originated from that, and then you.
I get it.
People in the ghetto that will put weird emphasis on my name, like "Yo, Harlane," or Hairlane, or something like that. Like,
did someone actually ever call you Hairlane?
Once.
Oh my god!
But they did it as a joke.
Ooh. Okay.
Like,
well, it was a joke, so.
Oh, okay.
I think it was because I was making fun of, not really making fun of, just like, dude, how, like, it was that Key and Peele skit with the substitute teacher that pronounced stuff from the ghetto, and we were joking around about that, and we were saying, what would our ghetto name be? And then my one friend, his name is DJ, which you can't really do anything with DJ. He's yo, Hairlane. And I'm just like, damn it.
Damn. Yeah, so we're not really Tekken fans. It's cool to watch. It's one of the most technically impressive fighting games. It's not as quite as technically impressive as Virtua Fighter, where Virtua Fighter is just as complex as doing like Street Fighter Tekken, and it's got 2 buttons.
Oh, Spanish is Harlan Mayan.
Weird.
What?
Yeah.
So,
I feel that's what. I feel like that's what your wife's saying.
Does anyone have any more points?
Maybe at a certain point of the night.
Does anyone have any more points on Street Fighter, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, King of Fighters, or Guilty Gear?
If you're gonna play Tekken, we strongly recommend Tekken Bowling.
Yeah,
Tekken had a DLC called Tekken Bowling, and it's just bowling.
When you guys are doing Tekken 8, we need Tekken Tennis. It should be
Tekken Volleyball.
I was like, can I have Tekken Darts?
Yeah, Tekken Darts would be funny.
I want Gigas to just break the board through a wall.
just like when you could accidentally throw the ball too hard, not let go of it, and then slide down the alley.
Whatever that squid dude's name is, I like it.
Yoshimitsu?
Yoshimitsu. I want him to curve the dart. I don't care if it's the same system from bowling. Just add super weird games to add on top of your fighting game, because I love it.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Tekken Billiards.
Tekken Billiards would be hilarious.
That's another good one. We get Tekken.
If you do the meter too hard, you just
you break the balls and you.
Can we get Tekken Curling?
Tekken Curling.
Yeah, you can team it with your friends.
No, Tekken Cheese Wheeling. Bring Scotland. Thank you, Scotland Island, for giving me cheese wheeling. That's a thing.
Tekken Belt Sander race.
It's also labeled as one of the most dangerous sports
Tekken
in the world.
Slap Contest.
Oh fuck.
It's top 10 of most dangerous sports in the world because people would break their necks running after the cheese wheel.
Oh god.
It's so stupid.
So we got about 4 minutes left.
Tekken Swim.
I feel like we should put the rest of it to Street Fighter.
Well, I was say we'll talk about Street Fighter, but we can go over a bit.
Yeah.
I do have something. I do have something to. I do want to end on something specific, but let's go. We'll talk about Street Fighter.
Yeah, we don't have to go into the history of it. Just
is so bizarre to me because each game is almost like it's an entirely different franchise.
Yeah, it's radically different from game to game.
They share a lot of roster, but like Tekken or Street Fighter 2 is an entirely different system than Street Fighter 3. Street Fighter 3 is an entirely different system for Street Fighter 4, and Street Fighter 4 is an entirely different system from 5.
Yeah.
And 5 looks to be an entirely different system than 6. And it's one of the only games where I've heard people go, yeah, I'm like a pro Street Fighter 4 player. Can't stand playing Street Fighter 3.
Yeah, that's
like,
fair.
Other game companies, like, oh, I play, like, if someone's like, yeah, I'm a pro Tekken 7 player, they typically have the skill and means to play most Tekken games then. But, like, Street Fighter is so widely different. We stopped because Harlan almost fell out of his chair.
No, I was keeping balance.
You literally panicked and then like reached out for something.
I apologize to everyone listening. I just wanted a water for my G Fuel.
I realized I couldn't reach it fully with my right hand without having any support, so I had to swap it up, dog. Anyway, Street Fighter?
Yeah, Street Fighter is obviously one of the grandfathers of fighting games. It's Street Fighter 1 is essentially why we have fighting games. Street Fighter 2 is why fighting games got popular. 3 is one of the most critically...
the cabinets died.
Yeah, 3 is one of the most critically acclaimed fighting games now. It did bad when it came out. 4 is the reason fighting games are alive again in 2008. And Street Fighter 5 is currently one of the best fighting games on the market, despite the fact that when it launched, it was one of the worst fighting games on the market.
Wait, what are we at now? 6 or 5?
6 is about to come out this year.
Okay, yeah.
In case anyone's curious, because I want to end by talking about...
I always forget when Elena is in it, because...
She was introduced in 3.
Yeah.
Added to one of the last versions of 4. And then she didn't make it into 5. And currently she's not on the roster of 6, but 6 is likely going to have at least a full season of DLC, if not 2 or 3.
Yeah, because I would like Elena back.
I want Yun and Yang.
Yun and Yang's pretty good.
Because they're my favorites. I don't really have a preference over which one I like more. But I like them. I know it's likely not happening because Jamie is just inspired by them and they're directly in his backstory and he has a similar kind of setup to them, except his moves are way different, but his background is similar, so I don't know if they'd want to
I would like to see return. I was kind of upset it didn't come. Dan Hibiki.
He was in 5.
6. He was in 5?
Dan was one of the last characters in 5.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He was
forgetting he was even added.
Real quick, to give everyone a history of Street Fighter 5, it launched with one of the worst launches of any fighting game. It had almost no modes. There was no arcade mode at launch. You had versus, local versus, online versus, and training. That was your modes.
One of those games that suffered because they tried to meet release schedule rather than when the game was fully completed.
It played weirdly. They had almost no stages and no roster, and it pissed a lot of people off and turned them away. But eventually what happened is it turned into one of the better fighting games because after a while it turned into, we got a ton of modes, we got a ton of characters, we've refined the gameplay.
Good story
really well.
For characters.
Not a good story mode, but characters got pretty decent arcade modes, yes.
Yeah. Well, I like the story for Zangief. Ryu had a decent one.
No, I meant like they have a story mode.
Yeah.
And it's like a Mortal Kombat story mode, and that thing's awful.
I mean, I liked the one because I like completing each of the story modes for each of the characters.
That's different.
Yeah.
They had that, and then they have a fully CG'd story mode like it'd be a Mortal Kombat game.
No, I didn't play that. I'm talking about
bad. The character stories are different. Those are fine. That's what it...
Yeah, that's the only thing I pay attention to. The one thing I wish Street Fighter didn't do, and I know why they did it, was the censorship on some of the stuff. I feel like that was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, so real quick, to finish up with the history of Street Fighter V, near the end of the game, we were told the game is done at Season 3. That's it, it's over. They're going to focus in on Street Fighter 6.
I should buy it for computer so I could get that patch.
And then the guy Ono.
Sounds about right.
Ono is the director for Street Fighter. Ono is he is one of the guys, and Capcom is full of developers like this, where you say his name in a room of people that know what he's done, half of them are going to go, oh, this guy's the fucking GOAT. And the other half are going to go, that guy almost ruined our company because he did that. He is the reason Street Fighter...
yeah, dog, or they go, oh no!
He is the reason that Street Fighter 4 got everything it did and got to be popular, and everything that made the fighting game renaissance happen again. And then he's also a lot of the reasons Street Fighter 5 had a bad launch. He's also a lot of the reasons Street Fighter 6 had a bad launch and was originally got delayed because we were actually supposed to have Street Fighter a year or two ago. Street Fighter 6. So instead what happened is when he retired, he was replaced by two new guys, and they were like, we're not ready to release Street Fighter 6 on the time we are. We're going to push it back. We're going to keep working on it. We're going to refine a lot of stuff that was, up in the air because of Ono. And instead, they're like, just to tide fans over, we're going to give essentially some of our most highly requested characters for Street Fighter V.
I mean, that was a good move for them.
As our last DLC pack, because Ono was just like... Ono was picking characters that he thought were good for the game and not the fan favorites, and sometimes it overlapped.
Yeah.
So it's like he put Cody from Final Fight in. Cody's massively popular. But then other times people were like, you added Gil? I mean, he's okay, but like Gil?
Yeah.
And so what they did is they're like, all right, who's our most popular? Dan was the first character for Street Fighter for the last season. Rose...
was Poison added last
She
season?
was in Season 3.
Okay.
Someone else was in Season 4, though, because then after that was Akira, because they're like, let's put a goddamn Rival Schools character in there.
Yeah.
Because Ono was so against it, because Sakura is originally in Rival Schools 1. She's a bonus character. And Ono was like, nope, different Sakura. These are not the same universe. And they're like, he's gone now. We can put him in. We're putting the fan favorite one in. And then the last one was Luke. Because Luke is the main character 6. So we're going to put Luke in preemptively.
Sure. I mean, I feel like with the tide over, it was better.
That last season really helped the game.
Because honestly, that's what I wanted from 5 was Dan Hibiki, and I clearly missed out on that season because I've been doing other stuff. But man, can't wait to crack open Dan Hibiki now.
Real quick, I'm just going to pull it up just so I know, because I want to remember who the last DLC character was for 5. I just can't really remember it.
Oh yeah, but I'll mention the quick censor thing, because people who came in later may not know what happened.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when the first...
Oro.
Oh, okay. When the game first came out, and like a little few years after, not necessarily years, but a fair bit after, there were moms, it was specifically moms or parents.
It was parents, yeah.
It was parents.
That were, the outrage was mostly mothers, because
but
that was an official article.
Just say parents.
Yeah. It was parents that saw the game and they thought 2 characters' animations were terrible. and ruining their child's development, making the game inappropriate.
Armika and Cammy, right?
Yes.
Cammy? I know Armika for a fact.
Armika, as a flashy idol wrestler, had a slap-ass animation as her intro.
And she's in a skimpy outfit. You can see, like, the whole
So is
thing.
Zangief. Zangief's debatably worse.
No, I know, but that didn't help.
No, it didn't help.
Like, if it was on, Chun-Li, I don't think it would have been as bad.
It still would have been bad.
Oh, it would have been, but I think there would have been less outrage by this crowd.
Outrage.
Continue.
Not by the parents. I feel like the parents. But still, Armika is a wrestler with a skin-tight bodysuit with, a tutu in her. Like, she has some legs showing, sure. One of her animation was to slap her ass and point to her opponent, I think. And people got outraged about it, thought it was sexual.
That was gone.
She is that got just cut down. They skipped that animation.
She does the point now, I believe.
Yeah,
still.
she just goes point, which I'm upset because I liked Armika because she was one of my favorite strong female protagonists. And when you take away one of her special, she's a female Zangief for me.
She was, yeah.
So the fact you took away her flashiness is kind of upsetting. And then the one they got rid of was so obscure, it was kind of like, I understand, but at the same time, it's stupid. Cammy had a intro lunge where she did some crazy ass backflip you'd see at the Winter Olympics for ice skating, and then she made a 5-point superhero landing shit, and she did a spread that the camera was unfortunately close on, and so you could just see pretty much the whole. Bit and kitty type of shit.
They complained that the camera was specifically positioned.
Yeah, it was specifically your ass and part of crotch.
Right, and they were so essentially for this one, they just bumped the camera up, so it ended waist height instead.
Yeah, which sure, but at the same time, who cares? You see that for 10 seconds. No kid's gonna sit there unless you're the quickest shot in the West and just go. They're not gonna.
That was good.
They're not going to do anything because you said it. It's there for not even 10 seconds. 2 seconds on intro, and you're more focused on the match. You're not going to sit there and replay the intro.
Yeah.
Which
if you are, you have to go through the whole leaving the game jump.
Oh, yeah.
Having her do the jump.
It's not worth it. I feel like getting rid of it just to shut parents up was a bit too much.
He's speaking from experience.
No, my parents didn't give a shit. That's true. Fuck, what was
I?
I was 18 at that point.
No, about you not worth it.
Oh, no, this was my dad.
So, real quick, because we are over time.
You're thinking Ty's parents.
Hey, no, they didn't care anymore.
Well, no, his dad at least.
He didn't even know what I was doing.
Yeah. His mom just looked at him and I thought you were gay and just walked away.
That's a real story.
That's for another time.
So... Let's get to wrapping up because we're just slightly over time.
Yeah.
So something I figured we could end on, right, is what comes next for fighting games, because currently we're at a point when every big franchise is in the middle of making its next game,
or they're slowly coming down from their peak.
I would say, or they're in the middle of finishing up their current game with DLC. All the franchises we currently talked about are currently doing that. So,
with the exception of Mortal Kombat.
I want to talk. 11. That's the one I want to talk about. So real quick, Street Fighter 6 is going to come out June of this year. June 2nd, I want to say, is the actual.
That sounds about right. I'm excited for it.
It looks really good. I would say we could talk about that for a minute or so if you want. If not, we could just move on.
I mean, there's not going to be too much info that we're really going to lose on it.
Tekken 8 is also slated soon. We don't have a release date, but we're told this year. It might not be this year,
which is fine.
It still looks like it's in not early, but it still looks like it's in mid development.
As long as they put a new weird game in it,
I'd be happy.
That one, that one's the one because it looks like it's really changing up the gameplay system from 7.
I'll even take Tekken Mario Kart. That'd be really funny.
That would be funny.
Mortal Kombat did.
Just bobbleheads on top of shit.
We're gonna get back to Mortal Kombat. King of Fighters and Guilty are both currently in what's believed to be their last season of DLC. That doesn't necessarily mean it will be. Some of that they might continue.
Guilty Gear may have a little extra to come.
Well, Guilty Gear's currently got 2. The current DLC season was 4 characters. The one before this was 5. This one had started with Bridget and then went to Sin. And then there's 2 left that we don't know. We don't have a trailer yet. As of our recording, watch that come out before this episode gets posted.
Yeah.
I want Johnny. I'll just say it outright. Johnny is the one. I wanted Sin for
Johnny
gameplay. I want
good.
Johnny for personality.
Johnny would be good.
Honestly, most of the characters that I wanted in the game are already there.
I know your answer. There's one that isn't.
Yeah, there's God, what's her name? I keep forgetting her name.
Describe her. I want to see if either.
Bun Girl.
Yep, Jam.
Yes. Yeah, Jam. Bring back Jam. I would appreciate just a new character in general.
I mean, real quick. Here's what I think.
It's hard to do, but I would like to see it.
I'm not going to spoil the story of Guilty Gear because Guilty Gear is really in on the story, and essentially their story mode isn't like
it yet.
Their story mode isn't playing it. Their story mode is basically watch a movie.
Yeah,
that's essentially what it is. There's no gameplay. It's literally just a very long cutscene with voice acting.
I mean, sure, I like movies, unlike you.
It was pretty good. It entertained me, which I was surprised about.
Yeah, you don't get that from a movie very often.
So there are a few characters from that story mode that could make good characters. That's where some of the early characters came from. Like Gold Dick was from the story mode. He was a big character in the story mode before he got in. Jacko is very important.
I want to establish that. For that's the character's name. It's not a slang term.
It's a nickname because his name is Gold Lewis Dickinson. So we abbreviate that to Gold Dick.
Never mind. That is a nickname. That's the full name. We nicknamed him the Gold Dick because of his abbreviation of his name. We JoJo'd him.
Yeah, we shortened Gold Lewis, his first name, to Gold, and his last name Dickinson to Dick. So he's Gold Dick.
Yeah.
Jacko is very important in the story. Happy Chaos was the new villain introduced for the story. They all got into DLC. The only one that I could say, and without ruining the story, is that man. And that's literally what he's called throughout most of it. They use a bit of his real name, which is called Asuka, during the story.
Mm-hmm.
This is essentially... Guilty Gear is setting up to move on. Like, they're actually setting up to retire a bunch of characters and introduce a lot of new characters. So without ruining everything...
I could see May getting retired on you.
Well, a lot of the younger characters, like Sin, is now starting to be very important. He was already really important. He's starting to get even more important. And a lot of the older characters, like Sol and Kai, are kind of... They're looking to, like, retire them out. Leo's another one they're looking to get rid of.
Yeah, I'm fine with Sol leaving.
So, real quick, though, what I'm thinking, right? Asuka...
I kind of want to see Jacko leave just because of the internet.
Well, she'll probably leave with Sol because of the story.
Just because of the internet.
But
the internet ruined her.
Real quick, Asuka, also as that man, has been one of the largest villains of the franchise, and he's a very big character in this story. And he's not really on the villain team anymore.
Is it Ramafel in this?
She's in this one, yeah.
She's
another new character they're trying to prop up.
Oh, she's a new character they're trying to prop up.
She was from Exard, but she's one of the ones where they're like, she's important now.
Okay, I was going to say, if they didn't have anything important for her, I don't mind her leaving.
She's running the military of Illyria now.
That makes sense.
She's their military.
What about my chick, Eno?
She's definitely retiring.
Yes. No, I miss Eno.
I don't want to ruin it, but if anyone's leaving... she's the one that I'm guaranteed is gone. I can tell you specifically after what happens, but I don't want to fully state it.
Yeah,
Axel's another one. They're looking to Axel's story seemingly done. Axel got a happy ending. A lot of them get happy endings.
I just wish I have a decent enough replacement for Eno where
they'll probably give one for gameplay. I don't know if they'll get personality though.
Yeah.
So either way, what I was gonna say though is that man / Asuka has been the main villain of Guilty Gear since the beginning up until now, and in this current one, he kind of does this thing where he's like trying to settle his affairs and not really make amends, but try to like leave things on the best note he can. If they're going to retire him, this is essentially his last game to be a playable character. He has never been a playable character despite being the main villain. So I think the best thing you could do for Guilty Gear in its current Strive, which is essentially the fourth entry, because a lot of them are like building on, like Exard is one entry despite the fact that it has 3 titles in it.
Yeah.
So this is essentially the 4th entry. The best thing, the way to go out on is if Asuka's the last DLC character.
I'd be fine with that.
I think that's a thing, because essentially he also does get a few fight scenes in the story mode. He casts a lot of magic. So I think it's a really good way to go out for them.
I agree with that.
So if this is the last DLC, my bets would be Johnny then him.
I kind of just don't even want to talk about BlazBlue because that was just a good, ending. Guilty Gear was a good ending on this.
BlazBlue's kind of retired.
Good.
So, and then real quick, King of Fighters is also currently in their seemingly the last season. Yeah. We just got confirmation of the next characters. Kim's coming out soon. We saw his render. Sylvie Paul is after that, which some people were excited, but most weren't. Najd is coming back after that, and then we're left with 2 open spaces.
I mean,
I'm really hoping for...
If none of them are bunker busters, I don't care.
Well, we got 2 open spaces, and people are betting based on the silhouettes. They look like it's duo Lan and Hinako.
Unless you have
you like Hinako.
Michael just shook his head. I like bunker buster characters because they're so absurd with some of their moves. Our Mika is really funny because you have a small little lolly with giant gauntlets and she's beating the shit.
He does not mean our Mika. He means Mika.
Yeah.
Our Mika from Street Fighter.
Did I say our Mika?
Yeah, you mean Mika from Under Night
in Birth.
Mika from Under Night in Birth is really funny because it's a little lolly, like, nun person, and she just has giant fuck-off gauntlets that are beating the shit out of grown men.
This is the... the last 2 silhouettes that people are betting on, they're like...
It looks like... unless I drop my phone.
It looks like... The silhouettes look like duo Lan and Hinako, and you'd like Hinako. She's the small high schooler that does sumo.
Yeah.
And she's like 100 pounds.
I do like Hinako.
I want it to be Shen. He's my more reasonable pick. But I love it for Duck King.
More round 1 fight canon. I like sumo.
That's another one. That's true.
I like...
I remember coming in one day to the apartment and just having him just like sitting there watching sumo on his phone.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing watching sumo?
Watching sumo.
I like the martial art without so long as it's kept traditional and not a lot of like...
they don't wrestling it.
Huh?
They don't wrestling it where you kill its entire identity but try to keep riding it.
That not so much that, just people like fixing the game, because there are situations where they're fixing the game.
Well, yeah, but you're gonna have that in anything.
And then you just have people going weight over technique. Like, if you look at the old stuff for that, it's a pretty, like, I like it. It's good. That's all I really have to say. Simple concepts, but good principles.
So, back on track.
Look, you're just jealous.
This is what I wanted to end with, and what I actually
give me a sumo fighter.
This is what I wanted to end. You have several, and most of them are the least popular.
No, I have sumo wrestlers in fighters.
Oh, you mean like a fighting
sumo
game.
fighter?
Got it.
Tekken sumo.
Because I do E Honda.
Yes.
Yes.
So real quick,
I still need to make that 1,000-hand slap deck for Magic.
So real quick, this is what I wanted to end on, and this is what I set up for this way back at the beginning of the episode. Is Mortal Kombat. We currently have no idea what Mortal Kombat's going to do. They've had a release pattern, and that release pattern is broken.
I feel like half the people don't care what they're doing right now because of 11.
No,
honestly,
people
do.
People are like super interested in what they're going to do.
Because of recovery?
Yes.
That's fair. I don't care because I want them just to release something good. I want to not...
Yeah.
I want this to be...
Well, it's more interesting. It's more of an intrigue factor because they've had a release pattern, and that release pattern is gone because it's been... Mortal Kombat, 2 years later Injustice,
I'm trying
2 years
to
later
think
Mortal
of something
Kombat.
that we acknowledge it doesn't exist type of deal.
Spider-Man 3.
That's what it is. I want Mortal Kombat 11 to be Spider-Man 3. It doesn't exist.
No, I agree.
So what are you talking about? No, it doesn't.
No, do what I say. That was a fever dream.
Yeah,
half the world experience.
Straight up fever dream.
So here's real quick. There's been a pattern. We've had Mortal Kombat game. 2 years later Injustice game. 2 years later Mortal Kombat game. 2 years later Injustice game. 2 years later Mortal Kombat game. It has been 3 to 4 years since that last Mortal Kombat game, so that cycle has been broken. So everyone is like, it's the 30th anniversary of Mortal Kombat. What's going to happen? Is Mortal Kombat going to come out?
I just want them to fix their fucking rosters or their stat balancing.
Yeah, is Injustice going to come out?
And here's picking up Reptile every time, and they make him slower every time. I get so mad because I used to main Reptile, and he just feels slower than the base character.
Yeah.
Also, it pisses me off so much.
This is what I wanted to end on.
And they also make him weaker too. Now, on top of being slower, his punches are super weaker in comparison. It just feels not good.
So here's what I wanted to end on, right? Ed Boon, the current director for Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
He really likes to be a big troll on Twitter. So he posted this not too long ago.
Everyone needs a hobby.
Yeah, well, he likes to be the troll where he kind of trolls about what they're doing, but he never outright lies. It's all just cryptic stuff. So he's like, I remember this one. He's like, they're like, what's the possibility of Rain being a DLC character? He's like, Rain will never ever be a DLC character ever again in Mortal Kombat 10. And then 6 years later, Rain's a DLC character in Mortal Kombat 11.
Yeah.
And then he likes to do cryptic stuff with that. I remember he hinted well in advance that Mileena was going to be DLC for Mortal Kombat 11. So he put out a tweet, and this tweet was huge, right? And this is what it was. He was like, you tell me what you want our next game to be. And they're already likely in development of their next game. And he threw out 4 examples. I'll read that later.
Yeah, I'll show it to you later. I'll save the picture. I was just trying to look up something else, and I just got a tweet about Elon Musk post.
Oh, God. So he put out 4 examples. He's like, we could do a next Mortal Kombat game.
Love Elon.
The next DC Injustice game. And then he threw out, or we could do a Marvel game. Or a Marvel versus DC game. And a lot of gears started turning for people's heads, and this is what I want to talk about. What's the potential they do a Marvel game next? Because, like, realistically, it's kind of high.
Doesn't seem too far off.
So, real quick, just to give some backing points. 1, like I said, Ed doesn't like to lie about it. He likes to be a troll, but he likes to be a troll where he's, like, cryptic and hinting at things, but he never outright lies about it. Granted, he's not really lying because it's like a survey. But there's at least some hint there that he wants to do it or talk with them. And Marvel vs. Capcom ended over 5 years ago at this point. It's almost 8 years since we had the last Marvel vs. Capcom character. So after that, Marvel doesn't work with Capcom. And we know this because Capcom is like, well, we tried to do more Marvel vs. Capcom, but Marvel's not interested. So Marvel's not interested with them. What are they interested in? If they want to do another fighting game, they'd likely go to an American company because they're American. And then if they're going to an American company, the only good company that does fighting games is NetherRealms. And even further, what would they likely do that? Because DC goes to them, and if DC does something, Marvel has to copy it, or vice versa, where if Marvel does something, DC has to copy it. And that's just how those companies operate.
It's such a juvenile way of doing it, and at least
I could give examples, but I don't think you need it, and you like what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to games, whatever ones have DC do better, in my opinion.
You'd be nitpicking. You'd be kind of like contrasting.
Oh yeah, I'd be nitpicking.
Like Batman Arkham series, Marvel Spider-Man for PS5, for PS4.
Yeah,
yep. Like they have ups and downs on both ends.
There's ups and downs on both ends. I feel like the one thing where I'll say movies wise, one has gotten better where the one kind of just feels shit.
Yeah, they
now.
like opposited. They like Marvel started high and went down. DC started low and went up.
DC started terribly.
I'm excited for one DC movie, and I never thought I'd say that 5-10 years ago.
Aquaman, for me, was a good-ish movie, except I hated Amber Heard anytime she was on screen.
That's fair. Yeah, they're coming out with
not for reasons people think. She is not an interesting character.
They're coming out with Blue Beetle.
I'm excited for Blue Beetle. If they get the right actor, I'm super in.
They have an actor. He looks decent.
All right.
So here's what I was getting at, right?
I'm excited for Martian Manhunter.
That'd be
give me Lobo.
That's the one they should do.
Yeah.
So here's the other thing, right?
That should be a part of their rebranding. Jason Momoa is going to be Lobo instead of Aquaman.
I feel like they grabbed someone better for Lobo.
Gene Simmons.
Gene Simmons would be really good.
He's too old.
I was going to jokingly say Jack Black.
That'd be pretty decent.
That would be fun.
He's not tall enough, but that'd be...
No, he's not. That, though. That's the sad part.
Jack Black is Darkseid.
I mean, just CGI some muscles on the fucker.
That'd be pretty good.
So I said Darkseid.
But the DC movies, quality-wise, I feel like is raising, where Marvel's is declining.
So here's the other thing, though. They both know this. Those companies are friendly with each other, despite what they seem. They'll poke fun at it, but the heads of each of those companies actively talk and work together frequently, and that's why they have crossover comics. Yeah, so if Marvel
that's a good way to do it.
If Marvel stops doing fighting games because they have complications with Capcom over Marvel's Capcom Infinite, and they go to DC and go, "How are you guys in fighting games?" Like, we're fucking set with NetherRealms. They open up a talk, and then what would boost sales for both companies? You do Marvel versus DC, the fighting game.
Yeah, I would
love it.
I'd love that too. I don't even need like obscure villains that I like Killer Croc or Solomon Grundy. I would just take the main heroes of each of the leagues.
I mean, yeah, essentially
League and then association.
Even if it's like 20...
They act more like a company than a league.
Yeah, even if it's like 20 characters... you could sell people on just Marvel vs. DC, the fighting game, honestly, without even telling anyone the roster. You could just sell people on just that. You've sold fighting game
Polka Dot Man in it, and it'll sell.
You've sold fighting game fans on that.
No, that'd be a DLC as they release the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that's
Weasel.
pretty decent.
I want Weasel.
Doug, you sell when you do that. You sell. You sell fighting game
Shark
fans?
Shark.
Yeah, you want King Shark?
I fucking love the animation that bit comes from, because at the end he talks for, he's like, "You fucking kidding me?"
Did you see the
Boomerang Man?
It's been an honor. Do you remember the voice actor for King Shark offhand?
For the live action or the animated? Because they keep changing, as far as I know.
The animated, because the most recent one.
There's been a couple. No, I don't know.
Okay, so maybe it wasn't the most recent. Maybe it was one before it.
He did a good job because it's super hard for me to get close to it. It's like you need spittle on the sides without any in the teeth. King Shark the Shark.
He tweeted. It might not have been that one. It might have been different. I'm not sure.
It's so weird.
He tweeted at NetherRealms, or he tweeted at Ed Boon. He's like, "Hey, listen, next Injustice 3 game, you better add King Shark."
I finally figured out how close it is. It sounds like if you mix the nerdy kid that talked with his teeth too much, with Gilbert Gottfried, but you lowered the pitch.
That's pretty good. So that's kind of what I wanted to set up for. Is just that what's the possibility of what they do next. I think honestly, whatever they attempt next, I'd be fairly happy with, as long as it played not like Mortal Kombat 11 and Injustice 2. And for anyone that doesn't know what those play like, it's not the worst. I played worse. But I feel it's not good. But
I feel like instead of what they do with Injustice, like Injustice story is fine. I like it because how interesting. Because you made the fanboy that everyone goes for into a villain.
Yeah,
and that's interesting by itself.
Right, and that wasn't the first time that was done, but they did.
But it was done really well with Injustice. But I think if we got DC v Marvel, I feel like
you could sell people. You could sell comics fans alone on just playing the story.
I feel like universes collide. They fight each other for a little bit, then come across a shared enemy. I hope it's not like Thanos and Darkseid mashed together. But I want a similar villain of just celestial power that both these guys have to fight.
I feel like at this point, what it should be is one of two directions. You take a really strong and threatening villain from one universe, and then you give him like a really legendary and powerful artifact from the other one.
That would be fine, but I feel like that would be favoritism on one end.
Darkseid,
definitely.
Who are you Who are you conceding is a better villain at that point?
Oh, it definitely
Whereas
would
I feel like you need one of just.
Wait, hang on.
You need one entity that can exist in both.
What if?
Or you need a joined one.
What if this is a tag game?
Brainiac takes control of a Celestial.
That I could tolerate a little bit.
Maybe. So I was saying, what if this is a tag game? What if they just the tag team on the villains team is the two top villains? What if it's Galactus and the Anti-Monitor?
That would be funny.
Yeah. Or they just say, "Fuck it, Deadpool and Lobo take over."
Yes.
They're sitting there high-fiving and shit, constantly breaking fourth wall.
I want this to be a tag team game now, just because I want to see stupid interactions like that, and I want to see like Man-Thing and Swamp Thing team up, and just be sad and depressed the whole time.
Martian Manhunter and Vision.
I'd say Red Tornado and Vision.
No, that's a good one
too. We just pair up the like rip-offs of each other.
I was thinking Martian Manhunter. Vision is a ripoff of Martian Manhunter.
Vision and Red Tornado are counterparts because they're both robots.
That's fair.
I don't know which came first though.
Yeah, I don't know who would be a thing for Martian Manhunter really. Maybe Gamora.
They definitely have a Martian character, Marvin.
Marvin. Greetings, Earthlings. You summoned me, Earth Mammal!
I'll never get over your Martian... fuck.
Especially when I whip it out in the middle of a fighting game.
So either way, when do we get the Looney Tunes fight? When is Martian Manhunter... Damn it. When's Marvin Martian getting added to Multiverse?
I feel like our time is too late for a Looney Tunes fighting game.
Definitely. When is Marvin getting added to Multiverses? That's my hope now.
That I would appreciate more.
When are they going to fix multiverses?
They're slowly fixing it. It's technically still in beta.
Honestly, that's a joke fighter, so I'm fine with it not working.
Here's the more impressive part. That's technically still in beta or early access, whatever you want to call it, because it's not technically released. but it's already better than the Nickelodeon one.
Oh, way better.
And that one was officially released, so... So... I think we're at a decent point to stop it. The only thing...
Oh, another fighting game they should actually release is a Godzilla fighting game.
They have a few.
They have a few. They're not good.
But the only good one, they discontinued. You cannot buy a digital copy. The only copies that are available are physical copies.
Discs.
Yeah, that one's pretty decent.
And that game goes for so much.
It's
I know.
Like I think $80, $90.
That's for a used copy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was $60 new.
Trust me, I had a chance of buying it, and then they discontinued it the next day, and I was
You kicked yourself in the ass so
hard.
I
did. I really did.
I wish I had it too.
Because I went to GameStop, and I was like, oh, sick, Godzilla fighting game. You know what? I'll be back in like a week. Discontinued.
In a really weird one, this is a
And so somebody went to the GameStop, bought it.
Really weird.
Regular market price.
Because it could be Arena. Fuck, I would like a new Rampage. Technically not a fighting game, but...
No, but I'd like a new Bloody Roar, but that won't come out. We can talk about more about these obscure ones in the next one. So, real quick, just to point out, there's a similar one with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
God, what is it?
They had a TMNT beat-em-up game.
Was it Bloody Roar?
Bloody Roar is the one where they turn into animals.
Yeah, there's a lot of games where you turn into animals. I'm
like
trying
werewolf.
to think. Yeah.
It's similar to Virtua Fighter in like setup.
I'm trying to
So
think
real
of...
quick, there was a TMNT game that was similar to the Godzilla one, not in gameplay or anything, but just for the fact that it was released on PS4, it was later removed from the store, and now to buy it used, it's like $60, $70.
Yeah.
A disc copy. And I'm still looking for it.
No, this game I'm thinking of is... It's similar. It came out on SNES as a side-scroller.
Oh, the Godzilla one?
No.
Oh, okay.
Guys turning into werewolves. Then they had an obscure PlayStation 3 game.
You mean the Sega one?
Yes.
Oh
my god, I wanted to pick up the...
damn it, I know...
Yeah, it's a good one, and the PS3 one looks like it would play...
Altered Beast.
Altered Beast! I fucking love Altered Beast. I'd love a reboot of Altered Beast.
Oh god, so just for reference, just so everyone knows how bad this is, I pulled up the Godzilla fighting game.
$200 for a bid.
On Amazon, right now, there's one left in stock. It is $338. $339. That's what we're talking about when we say this thing is gone. You can get a Japanese import of the PS3 version of this game for cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found one on GameStop. It's out of stock, never mind.
Yeah. They keep getting copies just
GameStop had it for $65. Yeah, this game does deserve a release, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know why it...
I think it was a company
issue.
issue.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, when they wiped it...
Actually, the gameplay wasn't that good at the time.
No, but it's better than most of the other games that came out that were Godzilla related.
Yeah,
but that was like PS2, PS3 era.
Right, it wasn't that good, but
Altered Beast 3 wasn't good, but it was...
So, either way,
arguably the best fighting game for Godzilla at that point would have been Destroy All Monsters on the freaking GameCube and original Xbox. I was going to say,
that was a GameCube one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So either way, let's wrap this up real fast.
Yeah.
The only other thing I want to say though is if they do Mortal Kombat, we can save
a lot of these good Little League ideas.
Yeah, if they want to do the Mortal Kombat versus DC fighting game, or DC versus Marvel fighting game, right?
Yeah.
They do a story mode. Please do not have it set up like the DC versus versus Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, you have to refresh me on that. How did they do that?
It plays like the fighting mode, the story mode for Mortal Kombat.
Worlds Collide
9 and 10 and 11, where it's chapter based. Each character gets 4 fights, except at the beginning of the game, you have to pick if you're the DC roster or the Mortal Kombat roster.
I remember that.
Please just have one story mode, and you switch between the sides at once.
Yeah, I don't even need several fights with the same character. Just bounce it off.
Oh, no, people say that you don't. You could, but here's the other thing I would like. They do the chapters. They started doing this in 11, I believe, and in just 2, where you had a chapter and it was 2 characters. So, like, for instance, in the newest Mortal Kombat 11, I want to say it's Chapter 3 or Chapter 4, it's Sub-Zero and Scorpion. And then in between, you get to pick the fights. Can we do a whole story mode that's kind of like that, but this is the Superman and Captain America chapter. So we have both of them bantering back and forth, and we switch between. You pick who you want to play.
Are they on the same side, or are they fighting each other?
I'm imagining they're on the same side, but some of the chapters could be they're fighting against each other.
Okay.
But I imagine a mix too, because I'm thinking kind of like what you do is
because the way it was described before in my ears was they're fighting each other. You just pick the side of that moment, which makes it kind of feel like a
I'm thinking
a weirder
I'm thinking like here's
Until Dawn style choose your path shit of what DC and Marvel already did.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking like this, is we have a story mode, and in the story mode, at the beginning of it, the worlds collide, or however big catastrophic event that they all get
technically
together.
they both have multiverses, so you can just...
This is one of the multiverses.
Yeah.
And then what happens is these guys are... all the heroes, like, come together, and then maybe chapter 1 is a real quick round robin of a bunch of different heroes from both fighting. You don't get to pick then, it's just a real quick, real fast, almost like a tutorial of, alright, you're Captain America now, go. Okay, switch over, Batman's fighting, go.
Yeah.
Okay, switch now. Now you're Hulk, go. And just a real quick like that as they fight, and then chapter 1 ends with them coming to a mutual agreement of, we need to separate the worlds again, and we're going to work together, but we're going to team up.
Well, yeah, first chapter is them figuring out, okay, wait, you guys aren't the enemy, then who is? Dun 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 dun.
And then the rest of the story mode is them trying to.
Oh, that hand gesture is me backing away the camera.
and then the rest of the story mode is them teaming up, and we have chapters where it's every chapter is 2 characters, 1 Marvel, 1 DC, and that way we could have them banter back and forth.
I'd love to see rich people banter between Iron Man and Batman. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, we have Iron Man and Batman go back and forth, and then Iron Man is like, we're nothing alike, and Batman goes, we're more alike than you think. And then he's just like, bullshit. And then
I just want to see Batman read Robert Downey Jr. Well, not Robert Downey Jr., but read Stark, and just go, well, you're not too far off. Don't forget the and he just...
you missed the Playboy part. But,
yeah.
It's... I could let it stop.
I want that reference from the movie, billionaire Playboy philanthropist ad. He's like, good counter, and he just walks away.
Yeah, and then I want, like, Captain America and, like, Superman to just be nothing but complimenting each other the whole time, where they're like...
That's America's ass.
when they do shit like that... Oh, man. Alright. We can call it here.
Yeah, we can call it here. I feel like that's a good end.
Episode 2, or part 2 of this 2-part episode, our first 2-part episode, we'll be talking about the smaller fighting games.
And hopefully will come out sooner.
Skullgirls, Darkstalkers... The Rumblefish, Chaos Code, and everything else.
I'm trying to think of another one. I could talk about Vanguard Princess too.
We'll talk about it. We've been round 1 fight, and join us for round 2.